This podcast discusses real-life experiences that may include topics such as grief, trauma, medical or mental health challenges, and other emotionally sensitive content. Please take care of yourself while listening, and if at any point in the conversation you feel overwhelmed, it's okay to pause, step away, or skip this episode entirely. While some of our guests are licensed professionals, the Holiday Survival Podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. If you are struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified healthcare provider or mental health professional. Now, let's begin. The holidays can be the most wonderful time of the year, or they can literally be the worst. That's why I'm bringing back the Holiday Survival Podcast, the show that gets real about a season that isn't always merry and bright. If the holidays bring up stress, grief, pressure, complicated family dynamics, or just big emotions, you are in the right place. My name is Erin and I am your host. In each episode, we'll have honest conversations, share practical tools, and offer hope for anyone navigating the messy, beautiful, and emotional reality of this time of the year. No forced cheer, no sugarcoating, just real stories, real support, and reminders that you are not alone. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome back to the Holiday Survival Podcast. The holidays are supposed to be a time of joy, but let's be honest, they can also bring a lot of financial stress. Between gifts, travel, and all the little extras that add up, it's easy to start the new year feeling stretched thin. So my guest today, Dr. Severine Bryan, is an accredited financial counselor who helps people create budgets that actually work in real life. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to plan your holiday spending, set boundaries that feel good, and still enjoy the season without breaking the bank. So Dr. Sev, thank you so much for being here. It is always a pleasure to get to sit down and talk with you. Why don't you introduce yourself so that our listeners can get to know you?
Yes, thank you for having me, Erin. So I'm, as Erin said, Dr. Severine Bryan. I'm founder of Sev Talks Money. And at my core, what I do is help women build financial clarity and confidence. And one of the drivers for that is after my own late life divorce, I had to rebuild from the ground up. I used that experience to teach others how to pay off debt, rebuild credit, create financial freedom without the shame that's usually attached to it. Through coaching and workshops and podcasts, my mission is simple: to show women it's never too late to rewrite their money story. And everything I teach blends professional training with lived experience, combining the practical side of money management with the emotional side of how we relate to money, because there is an emotional side. And lastly, in addition to working with women one-on-one and in groups, I also partner with corporations and organizations to lead workshops on financial wellness and empowerment. And this is my passion and purpose.
Well, I know that you are very good at what you do, and I'm excited for our listeners to get to hear more from you because I know that you are full of wisdom. So let's get started. The holidays can be very stressful, yes. Like I said before, when it comes to money matters. Why do you think so many of us overspend at this time of year, even when we know better?
There are so many things. And, I talked about the emotional side of money in my introduction. Money is so much more than money. It's the emotion. And a lot of times what we do is we associate gifts with love and belonging. We want to show that we care, not just say it. What we do is we use gifts. And so there's the emotional part of money that comes into play here, because I want to show you how much I care. Even though I know I don't have the money, I'm going to find a way to make that happen. And then there's the tradition and the pressure. My neighbor is having this big party or whatever. So we get caught up in the nostalgia, the social comparison, the marketing that says, if you don't have the gifts and you don't spend, then you're not making it magical. We want to buy into that magical moment, and we give even though we know we can't afford it. And then there's the other part of that where we use gift giving as avoidance. of not dealing with our own emotions. So spending and seeing somebody else happy, it numbs our guilt. It numbs our grief, the stress that comes with this time of the holiday. So we're spending to create a feeling, and sometimes that is causing havoc on our pocketbooks.
That's very true. I can tell you that personally, I have done all of those things. Sometimes it's just easier to show someone appreciation by giving them a gift and not having to sit there and talk to them. It's probably not the nicest thing to say, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
So what's the first step someone should take right now to create a realistic holiday budget, even if they're already feeling behind?
I would say the first thing is probably start with your reality. I know it's not fun, it's not sexy, but start with your reality, not your wish list. Write down what you actually have to work with, not what you wish you had. So if you know you have 5 family members that you want to give a gift to, assign an amount to them, to each of the gifts. Because again, it's more about your presence than your present. And I know, yes, I'm sitting here telling you that, and I know what your spirit says, but work with what you have. Because think about if you spend too much, then in January, you're stressed because you have to pay those bills, especially if you didn't have the cash, right? So you have to pay those bills. And our jobs are not promised, especially in this economy. Our health is not promised. None of those are promised. So what can we do to share joy, but at the same time, giving joy to others? So start with what you have. List your priorities. What matters most, experience or fame? Some of us haven't really decided that yet. So list what matters to you and then plan accordingly. And then you want to add a buffer. If you have holiday budget, add in a buffer because we always overspend. So it's really not about cutting joy. It's about planning joy on purpose.
I love that. A lot of people tend to feel guilty because they can't give big during the holidays. How can we shift our mindset around what generosity or celebration or even nostalgia, to your point, really means?
Yes, we have to redefine what that means for us. Because again, a lot of us, we grew up. We saw what went on around us or what's going on in our families. And so we think that's what we need to do. There's a story told about a woman who would always cut off the ends of a ham before she baked it. And one day, her child asked her, "Why do you do that?" She said, "My mom always do that. Let's call her." She called the mom. The mom said, "Let me call my mom because she always did that." Only to find out she did it because she didn't have a pan big enough to fit the ham. And so the same thing with our Christmas, how we define Christmas, is usually because of what happened in the past. So if we can shift our mindset and say, what is Christmas for me? What does a holiday mean for me? What does Hanukkah mean for me? What does all those holidays around this time mean? Is it about my presence? Is it about gifts? What is it? So if we can maybe say, for me, it's thoughtfulness, it's intention, it's presence, it's acts over assets. If we can redefine it that way, then we can make it more meaningful for us and not as stressful, because we have to learn to detach our worth from wealth. And it is huge in our society where we tie wealth with our worth. So if we can detach our wealth from our worth and realize that we're not less loving because we give differently or because we can't give the big gifts. If we can do that, I think that will give us more peace of mind. So we have to start again with shifting how we think about the holiday. Redefine generosity, redefine what the holidays mean, redefine how we celebrate the holidays, and realize that the heart behind the gift matters more than the receipt. And it doesn't matter what other people think about your gift. It's what do you think? Because you have to live with you.
That is a great way to put that. Sometimes I think I forget that you kind of have to live with some of those decisions that you make. Yeah. And that doesn't always feel great, especially like you said, January rolls around and it's, ugh. In the past, I think it was a burden to get through the holidays, yes. Especially I went through a few holidays where I think I shared the story in the first episode of season 1 where I had recently gotten scammed and I could not give any gifts that year because I did not have any income because my former employer stole all of my wages. Wow. And tying the worth to what I can give that was a horrible feeling.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Everybody's been there, but I think what you're saying is so important for people. You've got to detach the worth in that realm, because the people that you're giving to will love you no matter if you bake them something for Christmas or you buy them something extravagant.
Yeah. And one way that they can help to detach is not watch so many ads and unsign up from those things that come into your email and tell you that you are not worthy if you don't buy the newest thing. I had to unsubscribe from all of those emails, and then I decide when I buy, not marketing, because marketing is powerful. There's other things that we can do to dim the noise that comes up around the holiday.
So let's talk about that. What are some things that we can do to dim the noise?
Yeah. One of the things I tell my client is unsubscribe from all emails. Make a list of the things that you want, and then go research that. Because what happened with marketing is it tells you that you need certain things. And when you see the latest toys and your children see the latest toys or your friends see the latest thing, they think it's a must-have. So if you can turn off the noise of social media, turn off the noise of television, your emails, all the places where you see those marketing messages, if you can turn that off and then you sit down quietly and think about, what do I want to do this year? How much do I want to spend on holiday? Who do I want to give gifts to? And make that list and stick to that list. And you are going to be bombarded with messages that's going to tell you that your list is too small or not enough. But then you, again, are the driver in your own financial life. You are the driver in your own financial plan. Nobody's coming to bail you out. Nobody's coming to bail me out when I overspend. And so we're going to be living with the guilt, the shame, and all of that. So it's a matter of, do I strategize ahead of time, or do I let the messages, the marketing, tell me what I need to do, and then end up being stressed and feeling guilt and shame towards the end?
Okay, so let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. This year, let's do the holidays differently. Let's skip the big box chaos and choose small businesses instead. The Holiday Survival Podcast's interactive gift guide is packed with makers, creators, artists, and founders that pour their actual heart into what they do. When you shop small, a real person does a happy dance, a family feels supported, and a dream gets to keep growing. Your dollars matter more here. Your gifts matter more here. Your impact is bigger here. If you want a gift that feels personal, thoughtful, and intentional, this is the gift guide for you. So head to the show notes, check out our full interactive gift guide, and make sure to share it with a friend. And now, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. The holidays can bring a lot of emotions, joy, nostalgia, and sometimes stress from the people we love most. If you've ever wished you had a clearer way to understand family dynamics, relationships, or culture, this is for you. Sociology Lab is a new platform created by an Oxford sociologist that translates social sciences into practical insights you can actually use in daily life to feel more informed, more grounded, and more confident in who you are in a time when the world feels loud and divided. There's real power in better understanding yourself and the people around you. It's a meaningful gift for yourself or for someone you care about. Members receive short, eye-opening lessons and tools that help things click so that you can move through life with more clarity and more connection. Visit sociology-lab.com to learn more and join the community. That's sociology-lab.com for more knowledge that supports you well beyond the holidays. Check out the show notes for those links, and let's get back to the show. To piggyback off of what you're saying, what are some simple, practical ways to keep costs down when you're shopping? Say you're not shopping online, but you're shopping in the store, that can create meaningful memories with family and friends, but still be budget friendly.
Yeah, as I said, start with your list. And then once you decide, what it is that you want to buy, you know what stores. Typically, we know where to go, right, to get those items. So we go to those places and buy what we want. Because one of the things that list does is it gives us direction. If I have a list and I go into the store, I'm more prone to getting what's on my list. I may get some things that's not on the list, but I'm more prone to sticking to the list. But if I go in the store and I'm just my wallet and me in the store, oh, this is not good. This might be good for this person. Oh, this is look like a nice gift. Let me get it for this person. So we have no boundaries because all we're doing is our eyes telling us this is what we need to get. So if we can create a list of what it is we want to give, and again, going back to that, put a dollar value on it. And I know this is hard because this is not what society said we need to do. So creating that list and then targeting what stores I want to go to get that item. Because we can always return it if we find something cheaper. We can always return it if we don't want it anymore. Again, just having that list, put a dollar value to what we want to get, going to the store and getting that thing and get out of there. Another thing we can do is we can assign ourselves an accountability partner. Say, hey, can you hold me accountable because this is my Christmas budget or my holiday budget, and this is what I want to spend. These are the things I'm going to get. Can you please hold me accountable? That may also help.
I've never thought about that, but an accountability partner could be a really beneficial thing. It's like you don't go to the store hungry whenever you're going to buy your groceries. And that's another thing to even talk about is the fact that grocery prices have gone up significantly this year. And so the average holiday dinner is probably going to cost a lot more than it was this time last year. And so we have to consider what we can do to bring those costs down as well.
It always goes back to planning. It always goes back to that. Can we do potlucks? Can we say, okay, you bring the meat, or 5 people together, bring the meat. You will bring the potato salad. This person will bring the macaroni and cheese. So it's not on one person, because typically it's one person in the family will do all the buying and cooking and everything. And they don't really get to enjoy the holiday because they're doing all the things. And we come with our to-go plates and we enjoy and we go. So if we can come together as groups, whether it's family by blood or by friendship or however we define family, and we can say, let's do something that takes the stress off each of us. And let's do that so that everybody gets to enjoy the holiday and not one person's pocket is stretched. That, I think, is another way that we can look at it. That will take in the cost of groceries and then also how much we're going to be spending on gifts.
That's a really good point. My family, instead of buying meat from the grocery store, we've been buying it directly from farmers. And sometimes that can cut some of your cost. Eggs, I have some family members that have chickens, and those chickens pop out a lot of eggs. And honestly, those eggs are better, I've noticed. So there's other ways to get creative with our budgets. What would you advise as far as getting creative with our budgets?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up bartering, because that's what we used to do. We used to do that. We used to barter. You have chicken. I remember growing up, my dad had lots of farm animals. And so he would bring the butcher, to kill a cow, for example. And then he would give that to people in the neighborhood who couldn't afford it, or he would sell some of it. And then somebody else would give him something else, like maybe some yams, some potatoes, or whatever. Consider bartering. I think a lot of times our ego and our pride gets in the way. We don't want anybody to know that we don't have something, or we might not have as much as we give them the impression that we have. So bartering is one way. One of the things I always tell my client is, can you join with somebody else and join a club? Whether it's a Costco or something like that. Maybe you're single, 2 single persons or 3 single people, and you buy the 20-pound bag of rice, you divide it in 3, because, you buy in bulk in those places. So what are some things that you can do? Just be creative and think outside the box. Another thing that you can do is make sure that you are checking your insurance, your life insurance, your auto insurance, disability. Check all of those. Am I getting the best for my dollars? Protest your property value. All those little things add up. So those are some things that we can do to add value or to add back money to our bottom line as we continue to think about how we can strategize as costs go up or salaries stay stagnant or get lower and costs go up. What are some things that we can do to bring back balance? And of course, there's always ways to make a little bit of extra money, because I don't believe in cutting everything, because we don't want to live a life of austerity. I don't want us to cut, but just look at how we're living. My daughter throws away a lot of food, a lot of food. And I keep saying to her, I won't be here all the time. I'm not going to live forever, and I won't be able to bail you out. The percentage is very high of food waste in the US. And one of the reasons for that is we just buy, we don't plan. So I'll go into the store and I'll see something and I'll say, oh, you know what, I could use that in a recipe. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you haven't even thought about what that recipe will be, when you're going to be using it. So I advocate my clients to always have a shopping list, and the shopping list should be based on a list of menu. So on Monday, I'm going to do spaghetti and I'll have leftover on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'm going to have chicken and I'm going to take the leftover in a salad to work. If we plan that way, it just takes a few minutes to plan. But after we get into the rhythm of it, it becomes part of our nature. So on Monday, if I'm going to do this, then when I go into the store, my list is going to be based on that menu item. So I'm not going to be going in thinking, well, I'll just get that. Ooh, I've always wanted to eat that. So we end up with a pantry full of things that we never eat that we throw away. So if we're strategic in planning our menu or snacks, I want sweet snacks, savory snacks. I want, what's the other one? Sweet, savory, and...
Salty, sweet, and...
savory. There's a third one. I can't think of it right now.
I can't either.
As we plan, okay, I'm going to bring maybe a little bit of raisins, some nuts. So if I have a desire for salt, sweet, savory, and salt, that's it. So if I have a desire for salty, I have 3 different snacks in my lunchbox if I'm going to work, or in my pantry. So I have those choices. Again, those little tweaks in the way we look at our money, our budget, we look at what we're buying, it can make a world of difference. And I can say that because that's how I was able to build and rebuild my finances. When I walked away from that divorce and had to rebuild from the ground up, from a negative net worth to where I am today. So it is doable, but it's going to take our mindset to shift first. And then we put the things into action.
That makes a lot of sense. I know for me personally, my bills went down when I stopped going into the stores to order my groceries, and I would put it in online and pick them up. After, like you said, going through the recipe, figuring out, okay, what do I have? What do I not have? Okay, I need to order that. And doing that inventory of your pantry on a weekly basis.
Yes.
That way you're not overbuying. I did find myself earlier this year throwing out a lot of food. And so the way that I tricked myself on this one, and it's not really a trick, but anytime I would throw something out, I forced myself to donate that amount to a nonprofit that gives away food for homeless shelters and stuff like that. So it does good in the world, but I'm training myself to not throw away as much stuff.
Yeah. And here's another thing, too, that people can do with stuff that's in their cabinet, in their refrigerator, is Google a recipe with that thing. And we have one thing, and I don't know what to make with that. Just Google a recipe. Hey, I have this strange item that I probably bought for one recipe that I never use. Where else can I use it? Another thing to do is Google, what can I do to preserve this thing instead of throwing it away? Maybe we have bananas that are overripe. Can we blend them and freeze them for shakes later? Blend it for fruit, for soup later if we have mushrooms that's going bad? What can I do with them? Put them in the freezer. Again, there are just ways that we can strategize to not end up throwing away things.
There's so many resources for us to get creative these days. ChatGPT has actually helped me create a budget for business. And I've found that has been super helpful, even in my personal finances, keeping track of my subscriptions, because that's where all of my money seems to go these days. Everything is on a subscription. So it's like, okay, what subscriptions am I not using? How can I cut these out and keep more money in the accounts? That's been my thing lately.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to get creative, and that's just got to be how it is in this economy these days.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask you, for single parents, freelancers, or anybody that's on an unpredictable income, how can they plan for holiday spending without feeling restricted or stressed, but Also, whenever it's unpredictable, you just never know what's coming in. What are some creative ways we can do that?
When we have money coming in that is not predictable, instead of using fixed amount for our budgets, we can use percentages. So if we say 10% of my income is going to be for holidays, that 10% is between you and your income. Okay. So you're creating that boundary to say 10% of whatever I bring in is going to be what I use for holidays. We can also create mini sinking funds as we're going through the year, because a lot of us, we don't plan ahead. The media, again, makes things so easy, makes it so last minute, so stressful. And again, we're fighting against all these messages. So if we create mini sinking funds, these are small amounts that we're going to stash for things that we think will come up. So maybe you don't have regular income. So I'm going to set these small amounts because I know there's going to be a month when I don't have the amount to pay everything. So this is what I'm going to use in the event I don't get paid enough for an upcoming month. And we have to be flexible. We have to look at our spending in tiers. What's essential, what's nice to have, and what can wait. And that's where a lot of us get tripped up because we think everything is essential and everything is not. So we need to look at, what do I really need? Sit your kids down. For single parents, sit your kids down and have that talk. You're not going to talk about, we don't have money and we don't have whatever. You're going to say, we have a certain amount of money in our budget this month, and what we have, we're going to be using it for these expenses. And I'd love to be able to buy you the doll and the dollhouse and all of it, whatever they ask for. But this is what we have. And because our family is more important than anything else, I want to make sure we have joy this year. And because of that, I'm going to have you choose just one gift. And here are the things that you said you wanted. This is what we can spend on it. We can spend $50. Here are the things that you said you wanted. This one is 20, this one is 40, this one is 60, this one is whatever. Have the real conversation with your kids. They'll understand. The thing I don't want people to do is have the conversation that's negative. We don't have money for that. Oh, we can't afford that. No, not those kind of languages, because they hear something different when you say that. So talk about what you have, how we can spend in the boundaries that we have. Because what that teaches them is we don't always get what we want, but we can get something that we can enjoy. We don't always get everything, but we can still choose to get something that we enjoy. So again, it's what's essential, what's nice to have, and what can wait. Because it may be a holiday where you tell your kids, mommy was laid off. And because of that, we don't have money coming in the way we normally do. And so I'm going to only be able to give you one gift or whatever. Go to the thrift store, get something nice, and say to them, next year or the next couple of years, we should be back on our feet. And when we do that, I'm going to give you that other toy that you wanted to get. Because most kids, really, if you think about it, when you give them something, after a while, they lose interest in it. Because society gives them so many messages that they were excited for the thing at the moment. And then 6 months later, they don't even know where that thing is. So again, we have to be careful not to try to project as if we have it all going on, because our kids can read between the lines. That's the reason why a lot of us adults are messed up. So if we can share a message in an affirming way, in a way that tells them that there are times when we won't have, but it's not a bad thing. We're going to work with what we have because the better times are coming. It's not about deprivation or any of that. It's about planning within our means and teaching our kids how we're doing it so they can learn. And again, an unpredictable income just means your plan needs to bend and not break. That's all that means.
I love that. I think that is great advice. As we head into the new year, what habits or systems do you recommend to help people recover from the holiday spending and start fresh financially?
I want people to not have shame, first off the bat. No shame or guilt. Yes, you blew your budget, but stressing and shaming yourself and beating yourself over the head does nothing. Yes, you know what? I overspent. Let me list what I spent and create clarity around what I spent, because there's a study that says, I think it's 62% of us, when we get our paycheck, we spend, and at the end of the month, we can't say where the money went. We just know it's gone. So clarity is so important to know where the money went, because that may help you next year to say, okay, this is what snuck up on me. So I'm going to plan so that doesn't happen next year. And then create a holiday recovery plan, small weekly payments, or even a short spending pause on subscriptions and other things that can help you reset. What are those money leaks? Because what doesn't get tracked, what doesn't get measured, what doesn't get counted, does not get adjusted. So we have to make sure that we know what we spent, no shame, create clarity around those numbers, and then automate your savings for next year. Okay, this year I messed up. I overspent, acknowledge it. How can we fix it? Setting aside maybe $20 a month, starting in January, going forward, and then you can maybe increase that as you pay off the last year's debt, can help us to set ourselves up for the next year. Because we want to give ourselves grace first. Can't grow if we don't forgive ourselves. We can't grow if we continue to beat ourselves up for past money mistakes. We have to forgive ourselves, the slip-ups, and then create the plan for comeback. Because some of us, the way we talk to ourselves, we would never talk to a friend that way. I'm stupid. Oh, I can't believe I made that stupid mistake. We would never talk to a friend that way. But we talk to ourselves that way. So grace, growth, forgive the slip-up.
I think that is really good advice, and I hope that everybody out here are taking notes because this is really valuable information. Are there any apps that people can use to help with budgeting that you've seen work well?
There are several. They keep changing the apps. The one I like that I use is called Empower. And it helps. It's not a budgeting app per se, but what it does is it captures all of your assets, all of your liabilities. So you're able to see your net worth at a glance. You're able to see all your spending. You're able to see everything in one place. But I'm a spreadsheet girly. So I love my spreadsheet. I've been using a spreadsheet for over 20-something years to track my budget. So that's what I use. But some clients may like apps. So Empower is one that I know I use and can recommend. There are other ones. I know Mint. I don't know if they still have Mint because there's been a lot of shifting in the marketplace, but I don't really keep up with that because I'm not a big fan of apps. Because one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of apps is it doesn't show you everything in one place, which is why I like Empower. It shows you the snapshot at a point. And I like for people to see the big picture because if I'm spending $20 and I'm seeing, okay, I spent $20 this month, I don't see $20 is going to cause me to go off the cliff the next week. So Empower does that. It gives you a really big picture. And Empower, if you're listening to this, I'm available for an affiliate link. But seriously, I like the fact that it gives you the big picture, and that's what people want. And you can dump that information too into a spreadsheet or some kind of document where you can see your big picture.
Okay, that's great to know. I think we've come to the end of our time together. How can our listeners connect with you?
The best place is really my website, which is sevtalksmoney.com. That's sevtalksmoney.com. But I live on LinkedIn. So if they want to come find me there, you can find Severine Bryan. I'm the only Severine Bryan on LinkedIn, Severine Bryan on LinkedIn. And you can find me and you'll see all my posts, my rants and raves, and my tips and joys and celebrations.
Love that. We will make sure that all of Dr. Sev's links are in the show notes. And you can also check out her feature in the gift guide. All of her links will be in there as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Sev. I always love chatting with you. I think this is such a good episode for people to hear, especially leading up to Black Friday.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope my passion didn't come off too strong because this is something I'm very passionate about. So I hope it resonates.
I'm sure that it will. Thank you for listening to the Holiday Survival Podcast. If this episode helped you feel a little bit more seen, supported, or sane during the holidays, it would mean so much if you'd leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tap the 5-star rating on Spotify. It's a simple way to help more people find the show, and it truly makes a difference. For resources, links, and next steps from today's episode, just check out our show notes and be sure to click the follow button on whatever platform you're listening to this on so that you never miss an episode from this season. Remember, you don't have to navigate the holidays alone. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode.